Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 11, Gender Perspective on Development, let us start the lecture with the topic the ninth 5-year plan 1997 to 2000. The ninth plan had important objectives for women. The approach paper of the ninth plan focused on the issues of empowerment of women, decentralization, and people's participation in planning and implementing strategies. For the first time in the history of planned development in India, the empowerment of women was adopted as one of the objectives in the ninth plan. The approach paper also declared a strategy of drawing up a women's component plan for every sector which would identify the inflow of benefit to women and carry out a gender appraisal for past performance in the sector. In the field of development, for the first time, the need for reservation of seats for women in parliament and the state legislature assemblies were discussed. The plan proposed to ensure 30% representation of women in the public sector and provides for a large entry of women in the premier civil services. In the field of health, the emphasis would as usual be on reproductive health. In education, besides gender equality, plans would be initiated for free education for girls up to the college level and greater vocational training for them. To increase women's participation in the industrial development of the country, the plan proposes to set up a development bank for women entrepreneurs for assisting them in the small and tiny sector. In agriculture, a greater assistance and share was called upon through rural development employment schemes. The most important resolve of the plan was to have a special women's components in the plan to ensure 30% flow of funds to women development sector. Now let us move to the next topic, policy and planning for women. A review of policy formation and planning for women's development in India reflects the lack of efforts in planning and policy formation for women in the states. There is very little conceptualization regarding the women's need and the necessary formulation required to give them a large share of development. Only a few states of India has policies for women's development. The efforts are inadequate and do not meet the requirements. Initiatives have come mostly from the central government. For a federal state that India is the success of any development process is a far cry unless the state governments fully realized their responsibility to raise the status of women. Greater involvement of grassroots organizations through the political process would be one of the mechanisms for the achievement of women empowerment. Further, for the gender equality to be fully achieved, it has to be integrated in all development programs of the country. Now let us have conclusion of the lesson. Through the various sections in this unit, we learned the concept of gender and the place of women in development perspective, both in a general as well as Indian context. We have seen how the gender empowerment approach identifies women participation in decision making as the key to success. Its goal is to increase self-reliance and self-confidence so that women become active players in society. Incorporation of gender into the development process acknowledges that women and men experience development differently according to their social position, race, class, colonial history, etc. Structures and situations are required to be addressed at multiple levels so as to ensure that women gain increased access and control over critical matters and non-material resources. Further, the focus on gender-based development is on gender relationships that determine the existing inequalities. Measures include credit, training, skills, and resources needed for productive decision making processes and community power structure. Development of women implies their access in overcoming the underlying structural inequalities. Gender in development is the approach that seeks to redress women's status through affirmative action in improving the qualities of women's lives. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.